Imagine you're back in kindergarten, learning how to add and subtract for the first time. Those concepts seem so complex and difficult back then. Why is it that addition and subtraction become almost second nature to many of us as we grow older? One of the most important roles of the brain is learning. The first stage of learning is accomplished when a sensory buffer, a momentary auditory or visual stimulus, is transferred into short-term memory. This short-term memory consolidates the new information into long-term memory for later recall through a process called long-term potentiation. The brain works via electrochemical signals. It's made up of brain cells called neurons that have a negative charge at rest. However, when positive ions flow into the cell, it becomes positive, causing an electrical current called an action potential to travel down the neuron. Once the signal has reached the end of the cell, a chemical is released referred to as a neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitters bind to receptors on another neuron across a small gap or synapse, opening ion channels and subsequently activating or inhibiting an action potential in the second cell. This is how your brain communicates. Now, picture this. One day, you're walking home from school and you see a shortcut through a field. At first, this field is heavily weeded and hard to walk through, but as you use it more and more, a dirt path begins to form. With time, this path grows larger and larger, and soon you can walk comfortably without having to push aside any more weeds. This pathway formation is similar to the process of long-term potentiation. Long-term potentiation is a strengthening of the communication between neurons accomplished through the neurotransmitter glutamate. Glutamate has two main types of receptors in neurons across the brain, AMPA and NMDA receptors. NMDA receptors are perpetually blocked by a positive magnesium ion. When glutamate is released in large quantities by a neuron, it binds to AMPA receptors, letting in positive ions like sodium. This influx of positive charges into the cell from the AMPA receptors causes the neuron to become positive enough to repel the magnesium ion, as positive charges repel each other. This process opens the NMDA receptor. NMDA receptors are powerful because they have the ability to alter the genetic expression of the cell. If they are repeatedly activated, these receptors can add more AMPA receptors, relocate existing receptors, and make the cell more responsive to glutamate. This increased sensitivity strengthens the connection between the first and second neurons, making them easier to activate in sequence.
The pathway in the field grows more and more distinctive.
As famous neuroscientist Donald Hebb once said, neurons that fire together, wire together. So as you grow up and use addition and subtraction more, the brain pathway for those concepts grows from a small dirt pathway to an informational highway. The communication between these neurons has been greatly strengthened. That's why when I ask you, what's 8 plus 3? You'll already know the answer.